Well, hi-dily ho there, neighboroonies. How you doing, internet? So, I'm in Denver, Colorado right now. I wasn't expecting to be here this week. It just kind of worked out. I was actually technically supposed to be here a while ago. The job that I've been working at in Eagle Mountain just kind of started, extending just a week, another week, another week. Not that I minded, because I'm really quite enjoying having a steady income, and quite fond of my boss. It's been one of the better jobs I've ever worked at. And he's a van lifer too. He's no longer doing the van life, but the Sprinter van that he uses for his business is his previous rig that he used to live in. And when I first started the job, it was me, him, and two other guys that were also van lifers. We just kind of had a bond. It just kind of worked out, and I really enjoyed working for a company that kind of gets me. So anyways, we still have probably a week or another 2 weeks to finish up little small things, but it's all little small things, and he's got two other guys there to help him. And I was heading out to Moab over the weekend to climb Ancient Art. That was awesome, by the way. Ancient Art is at Fisher Towers in Moab, Utah. And it's I love Moab. It's one of my favorite places in the world. It's got everything I love except for the ocean. And I'm very seriously considering getting a piece of land there someday, honestly. I would like to live there. But so we went down there and did that. The week before that, though, we went out and we climbed Big Cottonwood Canyon in Salt Lake City. I ran into my buddy Ricky, who I had seen for a while, and he's a very experienced climber, and he's taken a break for a little while. He's just barely starting to get back into it, and it was just perfect timing. And so yeah, we went out and we did some climbs, and it got my eyes all starry for climbing again. And so the very next weekend, we went down to Moab and climbed Ancient Art. And it's 4 pitches, which means that when you climb up, you get to a position, you re-rope, and then do another lead rope up. So you do that 4 times. You're actually changing ropes or anchor points 4 times as you go up. And total climb was about 400 feet. I don't remember exactly what the elevation was, but when you get up there, even though the climb is only 400 feet, you're, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 feet up in the air, though, where the lowest points where it drops down into the canyons. And it's a really amazing view. And the red rock was a different experience. It's a lot different than limestone. It's a lot different than granite. And I liked it. I think I like limestone and granite better. But it was fun, and I definitely want to go out and climb some more out there. So anyways, my boss had said, you're going to be out there close to Colorado. Why don't you just go ahead and go out there, go handle your business that you need to get done. And so I actually came out here mainly to do some work for my friend Red. And I was out here last summer doing work for her, and we did a whole bunch of work on this beautiful piece of property she has up in Golden, Colorado, at the top of this mountain. It overlooks downtown Denver. And it's a heavy, steep grade. We've been terracing it out and making trails and like little sections of yard and access roads and all that. And we got a lot done last year, but we still have a lot more to do on it. And so I told her I'd come back, and I'm finally making it back. And so yeah, I'm gonna do that for a little while. In the meantime, while I'm here, I'm hanging out with my buddy Preston. And Preston is the guy I first started climbing with all those years. So it's kind of a fun full circle here. On the way in here, up to Denver, I came a different way than I typically go. Typically, from Moab, I come in through Grand Junction, through Montrose, through Ouray, and then kind of go into Pueblo before shooting up that center route where it goes through Colorado Springs up to Denver. This time I went through Steamboat Springs and Breckenridge and Frisco and all these other cool resort towns, and followed the Colorado River a little bit more, and saw these rafters and kayakers and paddleboarders and all these people going down the river. And you see sections of river that are pretty extreme, and some that are pretty mellow, and some that are kind of in the middle. And the whole time I was driving here, I was just thinking about my kayak that I bought and how much I'd really like to get that out there and do some real river kayaking. I've only taken that kayak out one time since I bought it, and it was just out on a lake, still water. And I didn't even have a proper double paddle yet. I just had a single paddle. And I haven't got a life vest yet either. And there's a few other things I should probably get as accessories, but I've been waiting until I could find a friend that's super experienced that I can go and hang out with a few times and kind of get my bearings before I go out and do any of the really crazy stuff myself. So I'm really hoping while I'm in town some of my other fellow buddies out here in Denver that know the river really well will hopefully take me out on the river, and I'll get to experience some river kayaking and start getting a little bit more into that sport. So little by little, I'm getting into all these things. And you know, you never start off a master, obviously. You gotta start where you're at and build up. And it is intimidating sometimes, but you just gotta have humility and ask for people's help. And next thing you know, you're right in the middle of it. And you know, a year or two later, you're teaching people. And you know, the same way those people inspired me. I have a friend that died last year. His name was Spencer Connolly. And when I went out to Moab, one of the first people I met was a dude named Adam Hannon, and he's a pilot for Skydive Moab. Really just awesome guy, really well connected to everybody out there. And he did me a solid of just introducing me to all these really great people there in town. And one of the first people he introduced me to was Spencer Connolly. Spencer was the first person I ever met in my life that is a skydiver. And I don't mean like he's gone on a few skydives. I mean, that's what he lives and breathes and consumes him fully. He was a skydiver. And his passion for it and the way he talked about it and how it had changed his life, and it just got to me. And I knew it's something that I wanted to have in my life. And so I started going on these Facebook groups and adding myself to a bunch of skydive groups, and adding any mutual friends that I had with other skydivers and base jumpers and stuff like that I knew. And slowly my circle of friends started growing. And that's been tremendous. It's one of the biggest things you can do when you're doing the van life is that there's one piece of advice I could give everybody. It's network. You got to network. As soon as you pull into a town, start meeting people. I mean, get outside of your comfort zone and talk to people. And different people have different approaches. My approach is typically charity, volunteer work. I want to get into work and get into a town and get involved with things. And typically I line that up, as I said in another video, before I get there. I'll already have volunteer work or something like that. The first time I ever went to Moab for a decent stay, I did some volunteer work for the Moab Film Commission. I did some work for a community tea garden, for community rebuilds. I actually met the mayor of Moab before she was the mayor. I met the lady who started Moab Pride, and she's also started a number of other things there. And she has this little what would you call it? Like an event center, sort of, called the Helipad, and it's like a multi-use space for people to come and do ecstatic dance or yoga or any number of activities. And then she has a food truck, which I helped to found and start that food truck and get it going. And so anyway, super connected out there. And now every time I go into town, I've got a number of people I can contact and go and have some fun with. And the circle of friends just keeps on growing and growing. And with each extreme sport that I find myself getting into, that's what I've done. Facebook groups. I'm on surfing groups, I'm on hang gliding groups, I'm on paragliding groups, I'm on kayaking groups, everything. I mean, all these different things that I've outlined that I really would like to get more into. I've done my best to grow those networks and surround myself with these people. So I'm only in Colorado for about a month. I'm probably heading back around August 10th to Salt Lake City, where I'll be working for the same guy I've been working for, doing some more work out there, construction and framing, and I think he even said we'd be doing some concrete work potentially. So I'll be sticking around in Utah for a little while and working on my goal of saving up some money to buy some land, which, you know, a lot of people have asked me over the years, do you think you'll do the nomad life forever? Do you think you'll ever settle down and find a place that's home? And the answer is yes and no. I don't know that I'll ever become a sedentary person who just settles to one area. I don't think it's in me to do that. But maybe as I get more advanced in age, that might change. But as of right now, I don't foresee that. I mean, my dream is to, you know, die in my 90s or hundreds or something like that, somewhere in the third world doing volunteer work with no shoes, living in a hut with a dirt floor. I mean, that's not the exact dream, but you know, I mean, I just want to have experiences until the day that I die. And I think the day that you stop doing that's the day you die anyways.